Let's see.
You recording it too?
Yeah, I'm recording it too. So we'll have that as well. I just want to make sure this is good to go. Okay. All right. Well, we're definitely live on LinkedIn. All right, guys, give us a second. We're going to get rolling in just a minute. I want to make sure I tag my good friend here, Seth. So let's see. Okay.
There, I see us.
All right. So I just tagged you in one of those things. So I don't know if you want to prove it for your thing. All right. So guys, today, this is really cool. Semi-impromptu. We were going to be doing I was going to be talking to my good friend Seth here, interviewing him, getting his insights here on how to grow a business, how to get some affiliates, all that good stuff. And instead of doing it just pre-recorded, I said, what the hell? Let's just try it live stream. I think I'm going to start doing this a little bit more often. It tends to be more fun, and we'll be able to answer your questions as you ask them in the comments. But before we do, Seth, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here. We had a lot of fun on my podcast. I can't wait to be on yours.
Yeah, well, I'm pumped, man. So for some of the folks who may not know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Give us a little backstory about who you are, what you do, and let's get started with that.
Sure, and I'll try and do the short version. There's a couple-hour version on YouTube somewhere and in my books. So I am the founder of MarketDominationLLC.com. We are one of the fastest growing direct response marketing firms in the country. Our claim to fame is that we will recruit you 50 top affiliates or influencers to promote your business brand or offer every single week for a year. I co-host the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. I've written 9 best-selling books. I've been nominated by Dan Kennedy, who I know you know, for Market of the Year 3 years in a row, back to back to back. And we're having a lot of fun.
Dude, that's sick. I know last time we spoke, we knew a lot of the same people, and I was like, holy crap, like the Dan Kennedy world, it goes back, man. I feel like everybody has their, I don't know, like you can trace everybody's lineage almost back to Kennedy, it seems like.
For sure. You can absolutely connect the dots backwards from whence we all came.
Right, exactly. So that's what you're doing. What kind of stuff or what kind of people do you typically work with? Is it like a specific kind of business, or do you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So we've got a number of different niches that we serve, verticals that we have a large presence in. Financial services is the biggest one because it's where I started. Then we branched out. We have a large presence in the author, speaker, coach, consultant, information marketer space. And then because of our relationship with Kevin, we've got a large presence in the investor acquisition, raising capital space.
Wow. How did you get to know Kevin, man?
I kidnapped him. So I found out, this is a number of years, over a decade ago, I found out that he was coming to Buffalo to speak at an entrepreneurs organization convention, a regional conference, which I wasn't in EO back then, didn't know what EO was. Didn't think anyone ever came to Buffalo to speak. So I canceled the 8 meetings I had that day. I paid $300 for a ticket because I wasn't a member. And then I came, I saw him speak. He's in the back of the room, taking selfies, signing autographs. And I said, if I just do a selfie, I won't get any attention, right? I got to stand out. I'm like, you're in marketing, think. So it's my turn. And I said, Mr. Harrington, I'm here to take you to the airport. And this was before Uber. And he said, oh, that's okay. I was just going to take a cab. And I said, no. They insist I'm supposed to take you to the airport. Now there was no they, but he didn't know that then. And so he said, okay, let me just finish this up. And I got a board meeting. So come with me to the board meeting, be a fly on the wall. And then you can drive me to the airport. So I go to the board meeting. I'm texting my wife, like I'm shaking under the table. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to drive Kevin to the airport. And she's like, in your car? And we have 3 kids. They were a lot younger then. So there were a lot of sippy cups and crumbs and wrappers in my car. I'm like, honey, this is Buffalo. I can't run out and rent a Bentley by the hour. And he's got like 10 of them. It's not going to impress him. And she's like, say you have to go to the bathroom, go clean, at least clean your car, please. Don't embarrass me. I'm like, he doesn't know who you are, but fine. I'll clean my car. I cleaned the car. I drove very slowly to the airport, which gave me time to pitch. I pitched him what I said, you got 12 holes in the asseenontv.com marketing funnel. I said, we can plug them all and we'll increase your sales 20%.
Wow.
And he said, oh, that's a ballsy pitch. And then he said, you do realize we do over billions a year. So you're telling me you can make me a couple $100 million more? And the sweat starts dripping. And I'm like, yes, sir. He said, okay, send me what you want to send me. Here's my cell. Here's my address. Send me whatever. Send me the thing.
Wow.
So I shipped him a shock and awe box and closed the deal. And then for the last 10 years, he's been a partner in our business. We've marketed a number of his portfolio companies. He did a live version of Shark Tank called Pitch Tank in person 3 times a year. We did all of the marketing for that. We filled the room, including one in Vegas every year with a couple thousand investors. I was one of the judges on the panel. And then thankfully I didn't have to put up my own money to buy companies. And then, this was probably 7-8 years ago. He said, we're having dinner one night before the conference. And he says, what do you got that's new? What do you got that's sexy? What don't I know? And I told him about our recruiter influencer affiliate program in essence. And he said, I'm in. I said, okay. And he said, I want part of that as a podcast. He said, I want a podcast. I don't want to do any work. He said, I will show up once a week. You already have a show. Let's rebrand it around the 2 of us. And I will promote the episodes I'm on to my list, which is obviously way bigger than mine.
Wow.
So it took me half a second to say, done. I'm in too. And I think that was like 10 years ago or a little bit long because it was at least 10 years ago that then my show, which was called Direct Response Marketing, turned into Sharkpreneur. And it's been a fantastic relationship getting to work with him, every week for the last decade.
Wow, man, that shows a lot, I don't know what the word is, but not a lot of people would have done what you did, buy the little $300 ticket or whatever it was, clean out the car, go up to him and say, hey, we're supposed to take you to the airport. Like all of those things, I think really separate you from other entrepreneurs that maybe they're just more entrepreneurs. They really want something to happen, but they're not really willing to do that extra effort to actually get it. Doesn't seem like you've had that issue. You're willing to go the extra mile.
I am a massive fast implementer. And the funny part about that story is I drop him off at the airport and I'm like, man, that's a win. I could go home for the day. But I said, I'm gonna go back to the conference. I go back to the conference. I sneak in the back, I'm in the last row now because it's been going for hours. And David Meerman Scott is now speaking and he wrote the new rules of marketing and PR. And then he speaks and he goes to the back of the room and he is signing autographs and taking selfies. And I said, what are the odds that lightning will strike twice? I'm like, what the hell? I'm giving it a shot. I wait in line. I'm like, Mr. Scott, I'm here to take you to the airport. He's like, okay. So I drove David Meerman Scott very slowly to the airport. I didn't know he was speaking at the event. I didn't have a pitch. In that case, I just said, love to have you on my podcast in the car, which he said, happy to. And then after the podcast, I was able to pitch him on some things and been communicating with him for the last decade. Now, after I dropped him off at the airport, I said, you know what? I am good. I am mentally exhausted. I'm going home and taking a nap. I did not go back for a third time.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's so sick. That's so sick. The fact that you did that twice is just too cool to me. When we were just chatting, you were saying that what was it? You're like, I can help people get like 50 affiliates or something. Tell us about that. What did you say? You said something that caught my eye. It was like recruit 50 top affiliates and influencers to promote your business every week for a year. How do you do that?
So I took the Chet Holmes Dream 100 strategy from many, many decades ago. Chet, when he invented it, had direct mail and the phone, and he would send a letter once a month and a phone call once a month aimed at his top ideal clients, his best buyers, his Dream 100. I brought that into the 21st century, which is what got me nominated by Dan for Market of the Year 3 times. And instead of just going after one client at a time, we decided to use that model to recruit affiliate centers of influence. It could be in a local city, like a financial advisor would want referrals from accountants and lawyers, other people who see your target market but don't compete with you. a personal injury lawyer, which we have a number of, they want referrals from chiropractors and pain doctors and all these other people who see their accident victims besides them. And then if you look at like the online marketing space, it becomes much easier to think about in that, hey, if Carlos is launching a course on how to make $100,000 with ChatGPT, which perhaps maybe you might have done, then, well, if that is targeted at business owners, entrepreneurs, people in the marketing and copywriting and digital online space, we can go find 50 of them. We can push them through our process to the point where they will literally go, Carlos, you're like my new best friend, man. What can I do for you? And then we will happen to have an answer and they will all promote your next launch.
Yeah. And how do you get these guys? How do you get in front of them?
So the first step is getting them to be interviewed on your podcast.
Smart.
So we're not trying to sell anything first. We're adding value. Even I created this model when I launched my first show, which we didn't have Zoom back then. We didn't have GoToWebinar. I literally did it on a phone, like speaker phone with a voice recorder. That's how bad the audio was. You could hear the phone ring.
This is like a teleseminar back in the day.
There was not even instant teleseminars didn't exist yet. It was literally a recorded one-on-one phone interview. And so the thing we start with is a podcast interview, and mine started, I had 7 listeners and 4 of them were related to me. So it doesn't matter if you're just starting. So we get them interviewed on your podcast. You follow our interview format because we've psychologically proven you will get more people to say yes later if you follow our questions. And then we have an every other week direct mail drip strategy. So that guest is getting something in the snail mail from you every other week. They're getting gifts. They're getting all kinds of different random things. So literally they can never stop thinking about you. And they're always going, man, that Carlos is always sending me the coolest stuff. So that we build up so much reciprocity and goodwill, which I got from Cialdini's influence, that literally they say, Carlos, you're like my new best friend. What can I do for you? And then when we say, hey, can you just share this with your tribe? We've already gotten them to share 5 other things, promoting themselves, bragging about themselves and going, look at me. I did this with Carlos. I was on the Carlos show. So they're in a habit now, consistency of 5 shares in a row. So when we send the 6th share, they're like, of course I'll share it. And now they're directly promoting you and driving their audience to you.
So it's like you've done this once or twice.
83 times, yes.
83 times. You mentioned personal injury attorneys. My brother-in-law is a personal injury attorney, and one of the things that he's always had trouble, he does well in business, but one of his big sticking points has always been like getting leads, because a lot of his stuff has just been, from what I know, it's like very organic. I don't know if he's developed a system yet, even a referral system, to try and get that automated. Have you noticed, is that like a common thing with personal injury attorneys or just in general, that these guys just, they don't know how to necessarily make that work?
Yes, and now we're going to segue into another topic of conversation, another marketing, cutting edge marketing thing you'll love. But yes, most personal injury lawyers, think about it, for hundreds of years, lawyers couldn't advertise. And then the floodgates opened, and especially in personal injury and mass tort, they think, well, I don't have a multi-million-dollar budget for TV ads and billboards, so I don't know I can't do anything. They think it's either go big or go home. And if they don't have that budget to compete with the firm in your city that has billboards every 5 feet and TV ads all the time, then they don't do anything. So number one, yes, our strategy works. We've done it for a number of PI lawyers, and you're going to open the Pandora's box because we have new marketing technology that we haven't even gone public yet that allows us to pull the personal data behind Google searches.
Oh, can you go and
so what that means is, and we're crushing it in a number of different in 14 different verticals for this, including PI and mass tort. Someone types in auto accident attorney near me. Historically, the only way was to get in front of them was Google AdWords, which everybody knows about. And unfortunately, the PI and mass tort lawyers have bid up those auction prices. Like mesothelioma is the highest pay-per-click cost in the country. It's over $100 just for a click.
$200?
Yeah. Jeez. So what's our personal injury lawyer to do? Well, here's the best part. I can now get you a list of everybody in your city who searched for personal injury lawyer last week.
That's so crazy.
Name, email, city, state. So you run that as a custom audience or a lookalike in your ads, and all of a sudden your ad cost gets dropped by like 70%. and your conversions go through the roof because you're not interrupting people anymore. You're only running ads to people who literally just searched for you, but they searched on Google and you're running an ad on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube. So none of your competitors are advertising to them on those platforms because they don't know they searched.
So can you do that with any industry, like people who are looking up copywriting services or web design?
We've done it in weight loss. We've done it in gyms. We've done it in chiropractic. We've done it in business consulting and courses on, different types of marketing. We've done it on marketing technology. We've done it in software as a service. We've done it in a whole bunch of different verticals.
That's insane. And you get what information? You get their email address as well, their contact info.
First name, last name, email, city, state. Sometimes we can get cell phones. Sometimes we can get mailing addresses, but all the time we get emails, names and emails.
Wow. Oh, that's really powerful. That's really powerful. I mean, I'm thinking about it like I do. I have a LinkedIn campaign with my buddy AJ where he runs all my cold LinkedIn stuff, and it does really well. And one of the things that we do is we'll go after coaches on LinkedIn and then get their email address and then start hitting them through email, hitting them through LinkedIn. And that's been working well. But what I think would be just a game changer is if we do what you're talking about, and then I add those people on LinkedIn, those specific people on LinkedIn, then get them through the DMs and emails and hit them with ads. Now I'm really covering all the bases. I mean, that's insane. I want to ask how that happens, but I don't think I would understand how that happens anyway. The technology behind it.
Well, here's the crazy part is we just started testing using this for LinkedIn advertising.
Yeah.
And we started the guy's like, oh, I spent all this money and I got nothing. And it didn't work and it's not going to work. And I'm like, that's because you ran to the LinkedIn audience by like job title. And you thought, but that doesn't mean they were looking for you. Right. I said, this is like a fractional C-suite firm. Like if you want a fractional CMO or a fractional CFO, you hire this company and pay them a ton of money. Mm-hmm. And I said, let's go find everybody looking for fractional blah, 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 and run the ad to them on LinkedIn. Test it. If it doesn't work, I'll give you your money back. Within 48 hours, I got a phone call going, how did you do that? You tripled my click-through rate.
That's crazy.
And he's like, and we have actual real leads. I'm like, right, because we went after the people actually searching.
So is this like a software or something? Do you like search with it? I'm like, I wish we could share screens and you just show us this stuff and then people buy it from you.
We could do it. That's a webinar as opposed to a podcast. We can
well, dude, this is insane. I didn't actually think you were going to drop that kind of goal.
I wasn't planning on talking about it, but you brought up PI and it's funny. I watch.
This is a fucking game changer. I'm going to stop.
I watch all the leads come in, and we had another one from one of our PI lawyers today, and they fill out this long questionnaire of what the accident was, so that the PI lawyers know what to do with the lead. And so it's obviously when you mentioned PI, you triggered the fact that we talked to them earlier this morning, which caused me to share that, which I wasn't planning on.
Oh, thank goodness I did that. What else can I trigger, man? This is great. I wasn't planning on telling everybody to go buy your stuff, but whatever that is, at least go inquire about this because I know I'm going to. I think that's a game changer. What the hell?
It is absolutely crushing. Like we're taking company. I mean, it's funny. We've gotten some very large, like national, like people who are household names in different niches who are like, my ad team is phenomenal. We're great. We don't need anything. We had one guy who's an info marketer. I know, but I can't say their name. Sure. And they're like, our lead cost is $1.60. There's nothing, you can't touch that. And he literally said, you can't touch this. And I said, I'll give you your money back if it doesn't work. And he said, okay, give it a shot. And then in 30 days, when we did our review call, he's like, my lead cost went from $1.60 to 60 cents.
Jeez.
He's like, this is the wild, wild west back in the old days of Facebook when you could buy traffic really cheap. I said, it's not going to work forever because everyone will, if it spreads too many people, it'll get saturated.
Sure.
But if God forbid, the privacy people have a conniption over it, Google will be in front of Congress. We won't be able to do it anymore. But for right now, like we're printing money.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a really powerful. How did you come up with it? Was this like a technology already available? Did you guys invent this? How did you stumble across that?
Stumble across is a better word. So Google changed their terms of service like a year ago and nobody realizes it. Don't everybody go hate on Google, please. So they always sold your data. It was always available for advertisers on AdWords. The difference is they added like, hey, you can get it direct now. And it's where we literally have to query Google and ask them, like, you can't just go find this on Google. You can't just go, there's no little thing you can go buy on Warrior Forum for $20 to do it. Like, we're part of a special group. Like, the application to get access to this was worse than like a mortgage application.
Right.
Like that long. Like, and I honestly didn't think we were going to get in and get to be able to be a beta tester of this, but apparently my direct response copywriting video of why we would be an awesome beta tester of this worked well enough. And we've been having a whole lot of fun with it for the last couple of months.
Wow. Yeah.
It's new. Like, it's not public. They're not advertising it yet. They're doing it to take all of the case studies of the agencies who are in and use that data to go to like their large Fortune 500 advertisers and go, sure, you got to pay us a lot more for this. But almost anybody you talk to, at least in the space, will either say it's not possible, it doesn't exist, because they haven't heard of it.
Of course.
Or they'll say, oh, I think I saw something like that, which is not true. The only things that could approach it are pale imitations, and you don't actually get like an Excel spreadsheet of the data.
Wow. So it's just so sick. You stumped me, because now I'm basically just thinking about only this type of stuff, because I'm like, how do we just give this guy money? This is insane. How if you could maybe give us some example, and I know I'm thinking of examples like with the LinkedIn, but give us some examples on how like maybe an info marketer might use this type of stuff, because you mentioned an info marketer in I'll give you a couple different. So we did business to business, the fractional, like CFO type of thing. I'll throw you a couple stats. In financial services on Facebook, normally it costs like a financial advisor $181 to get an appointment and ad spend. We cut it to $60.59. Let's see, we done mortgage broker. Information marketer, the guy who was $1.20 per lead is down to 61 cents. His ROI is 487% in 30 days. In the SaaS space, we cut the cost per click 50%. We reduced the cost per acquisition, the CPA 70%. Don't get attached to these numbers. Past performance, no guarantee of future success. Insert standard legal disclaimers here. But if you did half as well, you'd crush it. So here's a company that was, in terms of the information marketer, they were, let's see, they spend over $1 million a month on digital media, like on online ads. You would know who it was if I could tell you. 90 days, 361 leads, $90,250 in new revenue, 803% ROI. Wow. So nice little chunk of change.
Yes.
It's pretty insane.
Yes. And if you combine that with the whole get influencers to promote you, it just sky's the limit.
So what do you do for fun? Because you seem like this is very rare to have someone so good at all of this stuff and then also like, play basketball or some shit. This is insane.
Okay, so I don't play basketball. I'm a relatively shorter white guy, so that's not going to happen. My wife says when we were dating, she felt like every date she found out about a new hobby. So I am a lifelong martial artist. I'm a 2nd degree black belt in Krav Maga, which is the Israeli military. I am a professional magician for fun. I got 3 kids. They take up lots of time going to all their activities. And I also play piano and guitar, but guitar is since COVID. So I'm much better at piano because I've been playing for 30 years as opposed to guitar that I've been playing for a couple.
Yeah. Well, it's cool, man, because there's a lot of folks that I've interviewed and talked to where they have like amazing things going on, like what you just talked about, like really amazing stuff, but then that's kind of like their entire life and they don't have much else going for them, which is sad because everything else in the business side is just crushing. So it's cool to hear that like what you just dropped on all of us here that are watching this, like, this is so cool. Like, that's a game changer for any business, regardless of what it is, I think. And it's just neat to see that you also have hobbies and other things that you do. You've got a family, you're doing, you know, you're a black belt in martial art. Like, that's cool stuff, man. You seem pretty well rounded, not just not just a robot, I guess we could say.
Well, thank you. I've been called worse, so I will accept that as a compliment. And no, I am very, very good at compartmentalizing my life and making it so I am home every day, relatively close to dinner time.
That's sick, man. So tell us what's like your future. What are your goals right now? Are you going to be kind of going into this service, I guess, a little bit more, where you're doing the stuff with Google? I don't even know what to call it, to be honest.
We're calling it see behind the Google matrix.
See behind the Google matrix. So are you, I love that. So what's your plans with this? Are you going to be kind of making that like your main focus, or is that part of your business?
Well, we're not going to stop doing our influencer model because it's what built the company and it works incredibly well. And technology changes, right? Algorithms change. This may be a game changer right now, but the Google matrix thing, I mean, they could change the rules, they could change the laws, and in 6 months it could be gone.
Sure.
So we're not going to stop doing what we're awesome at. This was a gold mine that kind of fell in our lap, and we added it to what we were already doing because we have a traffic and conversion division that runs online ads and builds funnels and does all that stuff. And this made that work a whole lot better because now we could go to all of our clients and go, let's stop running your ads to these audiences we're trying to hope is the right one, and go to the exact right people.
Right.
So we're going to keep doing both. We'll do this one as long as we can, as long as it's legal, as long as it's available, as long as it works. And if it ever goes away, we'll replace it with something else. But the influencer model, again, we've been doing that for 16 years and we'll never stop, because when I started, there was no such thing as a podcast. Like, it was literally a speakerphone conference call. So the fact that we've got iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, all that stuff is awesome. It makes it work better, but we'll be working our butts off to try and figure out what the next thing is as well.
I love it, dude. Where can people find out more about you after hearing this and listening to you? Where can they go learn more?
So I'll give you two websites. Our main corporate website is marketdominationllc.com. If our server company decides to cooperate, it will actually show up when you type it in and go to Google. The other one, we've got an offer for your listeners, if that's okay.
Sure.
We will give them 50% off the Amazon price of my best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, which maps out our 50 influencer model. That is, again, half off the Amazon price. It is at ultimatepodcastbook.com.
I love it. I love it. Guys, make sure you go check that out. Add Seth as a friend on Facebook, LinkedIn, all the social medias. Connect with him. And if you're interested, like I am, in this see behind the Google Matrix stuff, make sure you hit him up, because that's kind of what I'm going to talk to him off this call about more. So, dude, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, if you like anything that you've heard here, make sure you connect with Seth, hit him up, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thanks so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.